Hello, 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 dear colleagues from around the globe, dear teachers, and welcome to another session by Teach.Love.Earn. Today, my guest is wonderful, talented Marcela Villan from Argentina. We already had one session with Marcela, and we are continuing because we finished on a very, very exciting, important topic, which we just slightly touched, and today we're gonna continue. So just for you who hasn't seen Marcela before, Marcela is the Teach SDG Ambassador, Sustainable Development Goals Ambassador. The Teachers Network, which is raising awareness of the importance of working with the 2030 agenda in our classrooms. And Marcela is the person who actually implements these ideas and promotes the development of global citizens inside our students, because this is who they are going to be. If you haven't seen our previous interview, I encourage you to have a look in the description down below, because there is the link to our previous interview, which is also valuable, worth looking at and watching. And Marcela has lots of ideas on developing global citizens in ELT classroom. So this is what we are going to discuss today. And as far as I know, Marcela, just this morning you have delivered a presentation on this matter at an international conference. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right. Yes, Olga, hello, how are you? Hello, everybody. Yes, this morning here, now it's 3 p.m. here in Argentina. Now it's afternoon. This morning I had an interview with people in Turkey, teachers in Turkey, but there were also teachers from Croatia, from Romania, talking about our dear SDGs and how to implement them in the classrooms, okay?
Brilliant. Brilliant, fantastic. Congratulations on such a big event and being a participant and developing the topic at this conference, because you share really valuable ideas and a lot of them were much helpful during our previous session. And I remember that we finished last time saying that education for global citizenship, this is not a separate or additional subject. This is rather the framework for learning in order to reach beyond schools to the wider community. And we can promote it in our classrooms with the existing curriculum or with the new initiatives and activities. I remember there was the quote by you. You said that working locally will be able to reach globally, and it really, this quote is just a perfect quotation for our interview and the whole idea, and I truly loved it. So today we'll continue talking about those in depth, and we will discuss more of a practical approach on how to deliver these implementations, actually how to bring the ideas of developing global citizens in our classrooms, what can we actually do, and um, how to bring it together with the existing curriculum, because we cannot avoid it. We just need to work on it in complex. So, Marcela, the floor is yours. I'm all ears.
Okay, Olga, yes, you're right. I insist on that. I insist on the fact that working locally, we are going to give a big hand globally. And that's how we should all start. First of all, I want to say that this question, as you say, of making our students become global citizens has to do with this need that we have this nowadays, let's say, to reach out. I mean, our students live in a a society, in a world which has become absolutely globalized, okay, in all senses. And of course, we have to prepare them. We have to prepare our students, children, adolescents, okay, whatever the age, to, let's say, become, members of this globalized world. And for that, we have the help of the global goals. We have the help of the Sustainable Development Goals set by the United Nations in 2015, okay, to be able to have a more sustainable world in the future, fighting for a better world, for a better today, or for a better tomorrow. These 17 goals that the United Nations has set up are going to be achieved by the year, we hope that we can achieve them by the year 2030. So that's why it's called the United Nations 2030 Agenda. And yes, Olga, I said that last time for sure that, it's not necessary to have like a special subject at school to be able to include these sustainable development goals. We can include them in our everyday activities, in our everyday, let's say, classes, without having a special part, let's say, dedicated to these global goals. Most of us, I mean that all of us here, the ones that are listening, must be teachers of English, and we can include them perfectly well in our English classes. I would say that it's the best scenario we could have, right? Being teachers of a language that has become a lingua franca, a language that has become the means of communication in all the world. As I just said a few minutes ago, I just had a meeting with people from Romania, people from Croatia, people from Turkey. Yes, there were also people from Indonesia. I was forgetting that. And our language of communication was English, and we were able to have a wonderful meeting. You and me, right? Ukraine and Argentina, okay, just got together because of this question of the language, right? Okay, so I mean, it's not a coincidence that we, being teachers of English, have this possibility, because English is the means of communication all around the world. And the idea of these global goals is that we have to work together to reach this 2030 agenda. So if we have a language that can make us get together, that can join us, okay, well, let's take advantage of that. Let's take advantage of this issue. So how is it that we can take these global goals into the classroom? I think I also mentioned last time, Olga, when we were together, the fact that we have to start with very small children. We have to start with our kids, even when they are small, when they are little kids. Why is that? We generally teach things when they are in kindergarten, when they are in the first years of primary education, things that refer to local issues, right? If we teach them how about clothes, we teach them about the clothes they wear. If we teach them about seasons, we teach them about seasons here. If we teach them about, for example, food, we teach them about what they eat daily. And they have to start getting to know that there is an outside world, that it's not only their classroom, it's not only Argentina, it's not only the place where they live, there is an outside world, okay? So, I mean, we have to start making them know that maybe we eat something which is very common here in Argentina, meat, but not all the countries in the world eat meat in the same way we do. We have to teach them that, for example, here in Argentina, they dress in one way, but maybe there are people in the world that dress differently, and that's not bad, it's just different. Okay, because there are other realities and there are other situations around the world and religious issues, okay, that make people dress in another way, or wear different clothes. And students should know that from a very early age. That will make us build this citizenship, right, this global citizenship in a better way. Of course, it's very difficult to, let's say, explore the question of the global goals when you have very little students, right? I mean, students aged 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old. Let's say global goals, these global goals, these sustainable development goals, I mean, are too complex maybe for them to understand. But well, what we can do then is to start teaching them, yeah, first of all, the needs and the wants we have, right? What we really need in life, what we really want in life, okay? If that is correct, yeah? If really all that we want, is it necessary, okay? Or if just want things just because we want them, right? Talking about wants and needs, okay? Because the situation in other parts of the world is different. Yeah, there are other wants and there are other needs, okay, especially. So show them that. Show them things that not only refer to their local level when they are little kids. We can also start talking to them. We can start having discussions with them about what a goal is. Making to-do lists with them, right? Okay, so well, okay, yeah, this is what you want. Okay, so what do we need to do to be able to achieve what you want? Okay, yeah, and what is it that you need? Okay, what do we need to do to be able to achieve what you need? Okay, in that sense, they will learn this question of fighting for a goal, fighting for an objective. That is what we have to start, let's say, building the foundation of what we want to do with them as teachers in the future, planting the seed, as we say. Okay, in that way, as they become older, 8, 10 years old, 12 years old, we can start introducing them to the global goals by working with stories, with comics, with books, okay, that deal with these issues which are so common for them nowadays, which are so common for us in our world nowadays. Environmental issues, climate action, gender equality, quality education, poverty, hunger, land on life, life on land, sorry, life on sea. So I mean, introducing them to these global issues from different perspectives, okay? I'm going to recommend a website to you and to all our listeners. This website is called The World's Largest Lesson. It's www.worldslargestlesson.globalgoals.org. And in this website, which is especially prepared for the teaching of the global goals, right? It's connected with the United Nations and it's connected with other associations that all fight for these global goals. In this website, you are going to find lots of activities, lots of stories, books, and comics to use with the different ages. And they will help you a lot. You can download them and you can take them to your classes, right? So it's big help for this question of introducing the global goals to little kids. Also, you will find videos that you can show to them full of stories and nice things to show them. So take advantage of this website because it will be really useful.
Fantastic. Thank you
Oh,
so much
yeah.
for commenting. I will
There
make
is
sure.
another one. There is another one that I also want to recommend to you, which is www.globalgoals.org. This is the website in which you are going to find all the global goals, and you are also going to find the targets that the United Nations, the different targets that the United Nations want to achieve by the year 2030. Each goal has a series of targets that the United Nations has set for them to be fulfilled by the year 2030. So by knowing the targets, you also have in that same website, you have the targets we need to achieve and also the things that we need to do in order to achieve these targets. And when I mean the things that we need to do, I don't mean things which are impossible to put into practice, right? For example, if we want to achieve or work for or fight for climate action, one of the things that we can do is just use ecological products. Okay, that's something simple. It's not so, let's say, far-fetched. Okay, go to the supermarket and try to get an eco bag. Okay, something simple. We will be helping the environment that way. We will be fighting for this goal. It's just a little grain of sand. Yes, it is, right? But a grain of sand and a grain of sand and a grain of sand will build our sandstone. Okay, so we need to do that. Yes, we need to start working towards these goals all together, little by little.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely, Olga. That's right. And then we
I
have,
will I will
yes,
make
absolutely.
sure to include these websites in the comment below, so it will be
Perfect.
seen just
Yeah,
for
yeah, 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 yeah,
convenience
yeah.
of our viewers, of our
Yes.
colleagues. Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
excellent, excellent, excellent. There is another one, www.takeactionglobal.org. Okay, that's also good to see. And well, the point is that, let me check. I don't know if it is www.takeactionglobal.org or .edu, I think it is. .edu. Let me just check. Oh, well, then I will let you know and you write it correctly. I
Yes,
mean, and
yes,
that's it.
sure.
But it's also very good, and with lots of ideas to take to the classrooms, lots of projects to take to the classrooms. Then when we work with other adolescents, we can do much more, because this is the age in which we want to build real change makers. Okay, this is the age which in 9 years old, when let's say we're in 9 years, when we reach the 2030 agenda, this generation is the one that will be fighting, yes, in the, let's say, looking for a job, or I mean in their, let's say, outside world already, not just in the school. And they will be the generation that will be able to make more progress. So that's why we need to, let's say, show them and try to work with them, try to start working with them by raising awareness on all these points. Yeah. And once you start working with the global goals and you introduce them to the global goals, you can start working by creating projects. And when I say creating projects, I mean working with project-based learning, right? That is to say, they can choose one of these goals, one of these targets they have to fight for. We all have to fight for. And when they can create a project, that is to say, we give them, the teacher, as a guide, the teacher as a facilitator, right? And students in the center of the learning, that is to say, active learners. We set a question for them to, let's say, do research on. That question, always remember, that has to do with, let's say, not a yes, no question, but a WH question. For example, how far can climate action go? How far, I mean, can global warming go, right? Okay, so they have to start inquiring, they have to start with their research, yeah, investigating at the three levels that we want them to work on. First, the global level, that is to say, what's happening with this issue around the world? What's happening? I mean, how's the situation in different parts of the world? And when I mention the world, I mention the 5 big continents, okay? Not only one continent. Let's go to the 5 big continents, which are also different, okay? So different. So let's try to see the global reality, yes, the reality in these 5 continents, okay? Choose a country from Africa, choose a country from America, choose a country from, let's say, Asia, a country from Oceania, right? Okay, choose one in each side of this globe, yes, and to start checking what the situation is like there. Then start working at a national level, that is to say, make them investigate and see what the situation is like in their country, what's happening in their own country, what the situation is nowadays in the country where they live in. And finally, go to the local level. So it's like scaffolding the thing, right? National, global, national, and local. And when we're at the local level, we need to make them see what the world around them is like. Yeah, that is to say, what's happening with that special global goal? Yes, around me. Not just, going further away. No, just around me. Yes, my neighborhood. Yes, my town, my village, my city. Yes, what's happening? And what are we doing to be able to help to that situation? What are governments doing to be able to help to that situation? Once they get to know the different, let's say, levels, the global, the national, the local, let's make them think of let's say, a project that they can put into practice in their own place, right? I can give you, for example, some of the projects. I can tell you about the projects that some of my students prepared and already put
Yes, yes.
into practice. Yeah, because I mean, they are really exciting. They are very simple. I mean, it's not that they need such a big imagination, right? And let's say, think deeply about this. I mean, one of the groups at school worked on global issue number 6, global goal number 6, which is water and sanitation. And so the idea is that we discovered by working, of course, we just had a look at the different realities, what happens in Africa with the question of water and clean water, what happens in Asia, what happens in Australia, what happens in countries in Europe, okay, what happens in North America and Latin America, that is to say, different realities as well. Then we started having a look at what's happening in Argentina. We discovered different realities into our country as well. Argentina, if you have it in mind, is a very long country. Yeah, so we, let's say, take up a lot of space in this continent. And the idea is that we have all sorts of climates, all sorts of different soils as well. So, of course, the connection of the reality, let's say, that we saw in connection with clean water and sanitation was completely different all along the country. And we discovered then, working on the local level, that there were places around our area which did not have access to clean water. So they started thinking, well, how can we help? And they decided to put into practice a very, let's say, good project that in which they asked for cooperation. They asked all the other school students, right, to bring bottles of mineral water to school. So then, after some time, when they had collected lots of bottles of mineral water, they bought soap. And they decided to take those bottles of mineral water and the soap that they had bought to these places that did not have access to clean water and to sanitation. And so, of course, the mineral water to drink, of course, yeah, because maybe they were drinking contaminated water or having access to contaminated sources, and the soap to wash their hands in this very important pandemic we are living in. So it was a very interesting project, right? Simple to deal with. All the students collaborated, all the students participated, right? And we really got engagement into this project from all the school.
That's fantastic. I'm just imagining how fascinated the children were. And I think first of all, they completely forgot that it is kind of English language. I mean, subject that they are learning, the words or grammar or something, but there
No,
is a
that's
clear
it.
purpose
But
of
the
it, and
point
they
is,
contribute.
Olga, that's right. But the point is that by doing all this, they learned a lot, because they learned a lot of vocabulary. Of course, we continued with the language question, that is to say, the grammar and all that, okay? But this was one of the projects that we were working on, okay? Only one of them, right? And they got really enthusiastic. And when students are motivated, you know that we can reach wonderful things, okay? We can achieve wonderful things because their motivation takes them to lots of places, right? So they learned a lot of vocabulary vocabulary in connection with sanitation. They learned a lot of vocabulary in connection with health. They learned a lot of vocabulary in connection with water, right? And the purifying of water and this and that. And then they started, they got to know a lot of things about the world we live in. Right, by checking these global perspectives and these national perspectives and these local perspectives, they got to know lots of things about the world. So as teachers of English, right, what we do is just motivate them from another perspective, right? Yeah, we make them work from another angle. And in that way, they really get enthusiastic, right, for learning. They really want to learn. They really want to come to class. They really want to bring their things. They really want to listen to you, and they really want to participate. And that's fascinating. That's fascinating. It opens curiosity. It builds empathy, because by working on these global goals, by working on these projects, what you do is to work on values as well, right? You create leadership, you create motivation, engagement, right? You build empathy, right? You show them the different realities, you show them what the world is like, and you make them empathize with others. And once they empathize with others, they want to become active and they want to do things. They want to work for that, okay? So it's really fascinating the way you see them get into these projects, yes? And I really enjoy that a lot.
Marcela, I have to ask you because when I was working at the state school, I remember that the actual program, kind of the curriculum, is quite tight, right?
Yes,
And
it
I
is.
remember there would be some kind of place, the space for the project, but in our case, it was really tight, like, I don't know, one lesson. Could you please comment on this matter? How
Yeah.
much, to which extent you can go with the project and how to organize it in a better way so that it fits kind of still the
Yeah.
curriculum and the
Yes, of
material is
course.
digested?
Yes. No, yeah, I understand what you mean perfectly well. Of course, they are tight. But the point is that, if you have to get, if you are attached to a book, if you are attached to a certain book and you have to finish it by the end of the year, of course, it becomes a bit complicated, right? Anyway, the time you devote to it, it will be wonderful, right? You won't regret it at all, yeah? Even if it is just the last 20 minutes of your class, okay? You won't regret it at all, yeah? But make them work on certain projects. They will love it. It would be ideal, really, if you could prepare your own projects, right? If you could work with project-based learning, right? And you could make your own projects, right? Organize your work, let's say, according to that. It would be ideal. But we know that that is not the situation in all places, especially not at schools, right? Sometimes we need to get attached to this, let's say, curricula to reach to this syllabus. So, anyway, you as a teacher try to introduce them. Now, all the ELT books bring units in connection with environmental issues or in connection with, let's say, some sort of animals that it will be connected with life on land, okay, or the forests, we will connect it with ecology, life in the sea, rainforest, climate action. I don't know. There are lots of things that we can connect with this, right? Or for example, jobs. Yeah, okay. One of the global goals, number 8, it's decent work and economic growth. Well, maybe we can connect it somehow. Jobs, okay. Well, which are the best jobs? Which are the rights of the workers? Okay, we can start connecting this, raising awareness on these issues that will be helpful for them in the future, and at the same time will make them raise awareness on their own. Let's say you can create a project, for example, on jobs. Well, jobs globally, jobs national, and jobs locally. Okay, because not all the places have the same kind of jobs, right? If you work in a rural area or if you live in a rural area, you won't get the same kind of jobs you get in the city. So, let's try to make them open their minds in this way, right? And I assure you that you will get excellent results.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for this answer. It was really, really detailed. Thank you. I love the idea which you mentioned because it never came to my mind. You know, I was also teaching young learners that we can really implement kind of not only the clothes which we wear in our country, but also extend it. So does it mean that we actually need to prepare supplementary materials? Does it?
Of course, yes, of course. Yeah, yes, yes, yes. We need to, that takes time, of course, right? The question of creating the material or looking for the material, right? These websites that I have just mentioned will help you a lot because there is a lot of material there already. Yeah, so I mean, which is already prepared for you just to take to your class, okay, just to take to the classrooms. But you have to make them create as well. Yeah, because the students have to go home and feel that motivation to look for what's happening around the world, look for what's happening in other places, look for example, what other people eat, what other people drink, what other kinds of animals are there that are in other parts of the world. Okay, they have to investigate this question of making the student active, right? Not just a passive thing that is listening to you, right? Yeah, a passive, let's say, person, human being that is listening to you. No, making them become active centers of their learning, right? And in that way, you will manage more things, right? You will be working on the 21st century tools, right? Also, you will be working on this question of creating or building critical thinking, right? Okay, in your students, yeah, which is so everybody talks so much about nowadays, right? Critical thinking, collaboration if they work in groups, right? Let's say the question of creativity, right? When they have to create their projects, right? The question of communication when they have to talk to their friends and maybe start investigating and ask other people, right? Okay, communication is very important. They are all the tools that we can give them to make them better citizens for this world. Another very important point I want to mention is that all this work will be even better if you have the possibility of introducing them to global projects, right? If you have the possibility of making them become part of international projects in which they can get together with other schools around the world, in which they can get together, let's say, with other students in the globe, showing different realities. Of course, I do not expect that all schools will be able to do that from the school itself, okay, because we know that connectivity, especially at schools, sometimes it's not that good, yeah? Now, virtual classes can help a lot to this, okay, and can help really to, let's say, take the world into the class, right, just with a click in the computer, right, on Zoom, on Meet, or whatever. But if we are at school, things are different, yeah? Anyway, there are lots of projects, there are lots of organizations that prepare global projects, right, without the need of having this question of meeting by, let's say, on Zoom or on Meet, right? There are lots of websites that I can recommend again to you. One is Empatico, in which you are going to find lots of projects. Then you also have iEarn, IEARN. It has lots and lots of projects, international projects, global projects, in which your students can get in which your students can participate, you as a leader, and of course, the students getting connected with countries around the world.
Wonderful, fantastic. I will make sure to include all of the websites in the description box and in the comments. I will just pin it because it doesn't seem so unrealistic or kind of not doable or difficult to implement to achieve because you have a huge amount of work already done. Just in case of need, it can be adjusted and yeah. Super.
Yes, of
cool,
course.
cool.
Yes, give them a try. Give all these websites a try because they are worth it. Yeah, do so.
Yeah. Marcela, I want to ask, what do you think about this online, offline situation in terms of what we have just discussed? So, these projects, for example, is it easier, has it become easier to achieve it when everyone is online and they kind of anyway sit at home and we can say have more time, or does it make situation worse? And just in general, what do you think about online, offline, and especially after everything is finished?
Mm. Well, I think that this COVID-19 pandemic and the question of having lots of classes working online, this has made all this question of getting connected much easier. As I said before, sometimes connectivity is not good at schools, and it doesn't allow you to have this kind of access to international projects, right, in the same way as being at home with your Wi-Fi, with your connectivity. Let's say it's much simpler. On the other side, and this is the situation here in Argentina, but I know that it's also the situation all around the world, not everyone has had the same kind of access to virtual classes or to online teaching, and that makes the situation a bit complicated. One of the big points that the global goals, let's say always, one of the things that the global goals always point out is that we have to leave no one behind. That is to say, by leaving no one behind, we mean that we need inclusion, right? That we all have to fight for the goals, and that these goals are for everyone, are for everybody, for all the people around the world. Yeah, so leave no one behind means just that. We know that TIC, the TICs, okay, that is the IT technology, the information technologies, okay, information and communication technologies have helped to make big advances, okay, in lots of senses. Education is also one of these senses. But the point is that if there are people that cannot have access to computers, if there are people that cannot have access to connectivity, then something is happening there. Yeah, it's not fair. We don't have the same access, right? We don't have the same access, that's for sure. So, I mean, something has to be done in connection with that. We teachers can do a lot, of course, right? But I mean, it's just a bit complicated if governments, okay, don't do something as well. Yeah. So in this case, it's where I say that we need to work together. And when I mean when I say that we need to work together, I mean everyone. Yes, okay. Governments, organizations, teachers, all the world united for one same on one same purpose. Okay, the purpose of reaching the global goals, the 2030 agenda, and hope we can do, yes, really well, so that by 2030 we can get really happy and say, well, we have managed to get to achieve all our goals. Yes, I really do hope so.
Brilliant. Marcela, I need to ask you, you're such a cheerful person and so much motivated and open-minded, and you're talking about the global things, which is not a common issue for everyone, you know. So you are such a source of inspiration. I want to ask you, what is your source of inspiration? Where this energy is coming from?
Well, and I have to tell you the truth. My inspiration, my students are my inspiration. Now I'm 51 years old, and I have been teaching for more than 30 years. And for some time, let's say that 10 years ago, yeah, 5, 7, 10 years ago, I started thinking that things were not good for my students, right? That, I mean, they were not getting the things they needed, that we were not doing the things in a good way, because I saw that my students were all the time like this, listening to me, or like this at school, right? And I said, well, but they are getting bored. That's not good. Yeah, and I started investigating, right, doing that some sort of action research, yeah, onto my teaching, and I started saying I have to do something to change this. Yes, let's see what I can do. So, well, I started getting information about neurosciences. I did lots of courses in connection with neurosciences. I did lots of courses in connection with global citizenship, right? And I said, well, now I have to change all this. Yeah, and that's how it all started. I started working with this, let's say, subject that I teach in the school where I work. Is a bilingual school here in Argentina. And as a bilingual school, you have subjects in English, right? It's not just teaching English language, but I mean subjects in English. Well, I started teaching environmental management. This was before this. I started 15, 17 years ago, started environmental management, teaching environmental management. Then I started teaching global perspectives, preparing my students for the IGCSE Cambridge examination. And I started connected with the global goals. And that's how it all started. I started realizing, I started with project-based learning. I started seeing a difference in my students' faces whenever I entered my classroom. I started seeing that they wanted to participate. I started noticing that they were discovering a really new world. And well, the pandemic last year, unfortunately, because of course this pandemic situation is really terrible, but the question of working online has also introduced us to a new virtual world, okay? And I'm very happy for that. I'm very happy for that. So my students were my first source of inspiration, and they still are. I change my students every year, of course, but they still are my source of inspiration. Seeing the change in their faces, seeing how motivated they are or they can be, makes me really happy. But I'm also really aware of the fact, as I said before, that in my country, and I think that it's in all countries in the world, we don't have the same, let's say, possibilities. We don't have the same opportunities. There are people who are not getting the same things. And that makes me a bit sad. And I try to do something to improve that, yeah, working with teachers, trying to inspire them to work on the global goals, even though they believe that to be able to work on this, they need connectivity and they need global projects. No. They can also work with their global goals, with our global goals in the classroom without this question of connectivity and this question of, let's say, computers and cameras and this and that. If they have that, much better. If they don't, they will be able to do a good job as well. So that's why I try to inspire them to do so.
Wonderful. It's such an extended answer. Thank you so much. It really happens like that, that when you just start noticing one thing and then you kind of look around and just one piece of chain and then it goes like all together, all this puzzle, this huge picture evolves and you kind of understand, oh my God, here is the whole world in front and we can learn so much from all around.
One important thing, Olga, is also working collaboratively. That is to say, getting together with other teachers, trying to, let's say, see what's happening in other classrooms. Okay, does it work for you? Does this work for you? Okay, I mean, trying to see, because the idea, of course, is that one teacher is not going to change the world. Yeah, so we need to work collaboratively. And if all teachers in the same school can do that, it will be great. Yeah, so try to work collaboratively, try to see what's happening in the school where you are, right? And try to work with other teachers. Yeah, that will be great. Then start getting into these global projects and start working with people around the globe. Yeah, and trying to see what the situation is like in other countries and trying to see what other teachers do with their students, right? That's also a source of inspiration. But I'm trying to do also action research on what you do at school, right? Yeah, try to analyze what you do, right? And to see if you can find different ways to reach different, let's say, objectives. Yeah, so that's good. You always have to analyze yourself a little bit, right? To analyze what you do, yeah, to see if you are going on the right track or if you are not going on the right track.
Brilliant. Yeah, it is. It is so indeed. Marcela, if not a teacher,
Hmm.
who would you be? If
Whoa.
not a teacher.
If not a teacher, well, to tell you the truth, Olga, I've always wanted to be a teacher. When I was a little girl, I remember myself playing with my dolls, me being the teacher, my dolls being my students, right? And always doing something like this to them, okay? I always remember that myself. So I think that I couldn't be anything else, right? I was just born to be a teacher, right? Again, when I was in my primary school, I had a teacher was also my inspiration in that sense. There is always someone who guides you, right? And she showed me the way. She started talking to me, saying that, yeah, I could be a good teacher because of my manners, because of this, because of that. She, let's say, sort of gave me advice on what to follow in my secondary education, right? Here we have like different, let's say, branches, right? And of course, she advised me on what to do. Then in my secondary education, one of my teachers was also a source of inspiration. When I reached the end of my secondary education, I wanted to be either a teacher or a psychologist. Okay. So you say there is no connection. I think that in a way there is a connection, right? There is some connection between psychology and teaching, of course, right? There are lots of connections if you start thinking about that. And well, one of my teachers said, no, I would choose teaching for you, right? Yes, it's what you have to do. I started my teacher training course, and I'm glad I did that so many years ago because I love what I do. But if I were not a teacher today, I'm sure I would do something connected with helping other people. Being a psychologist would have been one of the cases, but I mean, I would try to be someone in a certain position to help other people, for sure.
That's so noble of you.
I love what I do, really. I love what I do. I love
And
this
this is
question
what
of,
we do. Yeah.
sorry?
This is what teachers do.
It
This is
is,
what
of
you do.
course. It is. It is. And it's also what I say, we are psychologists in a way, as we are so many other things, right? Because I think that this question of being a teacher in a classroom opens gives you the possibility of being so many things at the same time, right? We are mothers, we are doctors, we are psychologists. Okay, we're lots of things at the same time, right? By working with our students.
Yeah, it is so. That's why teachers and actors are put on the same social roles kind of level.
Of course,
So yeah,
absolutely,
that's why.
absolutely. Yeah, that's right. We are also actors. We're also actresses at school, right? Maybe you
Yeah,
are
yeah.
not feeling well. Maybe you have lots of problems. I mean, personal problems or problems at home, and you go to school and you put on your biggest smile, right? And you start, let's say, playing the role you have to play, right? The one of being a teacher.
Brilliant. Marcela, can you please give an idea where to find you, where to
Yeah.
listen to your next performances, just to feel
Okay.
welcome to invite everyone to your next sessions,
Yes,
if
of
you have any
course.
schedule?
Yes, of course. Well, you can contact me at 21st Century Tools on Instagram. Okay, that's my account. I also have a Facebook account, but I don't use it much. I really use Instagram a lot. Okay, 21st Century Tools. You can contact me there. This morning, I gave a webinar, let's say, to these Turkish, Croatian people, right, teachers there. There were also some students, teachers there in the webinar. Next Friday, I will be with Mongolian teachers. Okay, so I mean, it's really wonderful to have this question of opening up around the globe. But you can contact me there. You can have a look at my Instagram account. Yeah, there I always give some sort of advice to teachers on what to do in the classrooms or what to do with your students. So if you go there and give me some likes, I will really appreciate it.
Thank you, Marcela, so much for all of the ideas which you shared, for your time. It was a tremendous pleasure for me to speak to you again and to develop the topic and just discuss all of the matters which matter to us teachers and to our students. Marcela, thank you so much for all of these.
Oh, Olga, thank you.
I hope that everyone, you guys who are watching this video, that you liked it. If so, please give us a like because it helps this video. It helps other people to find it and to also get some value. If you have anything to say, to comment, your ideas, how you work on it, or how you benefited from our session, please leave your comments down below. We will really, really appreciate it. And it matters to us. So please share anything you think about what we were discussing today. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so yet, and I hope to see you all in my next sessions. And until now, please take care of yourselves and hope to see you soon. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, and bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.